Now time for us to convene our regularly scheduled Westchester Township Trustee meeting for June 26th. Mr. Jones, if you'll please call the roll.
Mrs. Stoker?
Here.
Mr. Wong?
Here.
Mr. Lane?
Here.
And if we'll all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. It is now time for our first citizens' comments. During our meeting, we have two opportunities for citizens' comments. The first time is just a short time that we set aside, about 10 minutes, so that up to 5 people can speak and just say no more than 2 minutes worth. They should address the board. This is not a time to make speeches to the audience, but rather to bring to us ideas or concepts or issues that you believe the Board of Trustees need to hear from you. Since we have far more than 5 signed up, I am going to call up the first 5 to speak now. And within a relatively short minute, because this is a short meeting tonight, within a relatively short time, we will then, at our second citizens' comments, where we allow more time for citizens, we will hear the rest of the people who would like to address the Board of Trustees. So at this time, I would like to call up Mr. or Ms. Kim Angela. If you would like to give us your name and address.
My name is Kim Angelo. I live at 6053 Eaglet. I've lived there for 7 years. I've crossed at Eaglet and Eagle Ridge with my 4 grandchildren, a stroller, and a bike. I've never had a problem as long as you look both ways. Now, if you are visually impaired, you should not cross any street if you don't have a seeing eye dog or a walking cane. I have never read about any accidents on the corner or police reports on TV. If this has become such a dangerous corner, I now ask Lee Wong to put in yellow flashing lights and another stop sign so that all the people on Eaglet can cross safely. Eaglet is not the only street in Westchester that we need to be concerned about. There are many others. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Angelo. And we have next on our list Mr. Denny Brown.
Good evening. My name is Denny Brown. I live at 6028 Eaglet Drive. We've been residents on Eaglet since the fall of 1990. I will not add or subtract to any of the commentary that's gone on with the various emails that have sailed around through our neighborhood, but I would say we need to move on. We need to resolve this problem of the traffic problem, and it is a problem that runs up and down Eaglet Drive or Eagle Ridge Drive. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And next, Mr. Victor Akinbobola. Yes, sir. If you'd like to give us your name and address, please.
My name is Victor Akinbobola. I live in 6080 Eaglet Drive. I've lived...
I'm sorry,
sir.
6080.
Could you spell your name for us, please?
Akinbobola. Akinbobola.
Thank you.
All right. And I live in 6080 Eaglet Drive. I've lived there for over 7.5 years, and my mode of exercising is walking, and I do a lot of walking down the street and back. Over the last 7.5 years, I've seen many near misses. In the mode, the means of measuring accident is near misses in my profession, in safety profession, and I've seen a lot of near misses in the last 7.5 years. I'm glad that the Westchester has done something about this, and we do not need to wait until there is an accident before we do anything about it. That's usually not a business mode.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bobola. At this time, could we hear from Ashley Valentine? If you could give us your name and address, please.
Yes, my name is Ashley Valentine. I live at 6018 Eaglet, and I'm here to show my support for the crosswalk. In my opinion, this was a safety project that really benefits the entire Eaglet community. We have over 60 homes, 180 people that live in that neighborhood, and many of them are using the crosswalk now. I myself used it this morning twice. I'm a runner. I crossed, over Eagle Ridge Drive and back this morning. I feel a lot safer. I found that cars slow down when they come down the street. They see the big neon sign there and slow down, and I think that's due to the crosswalk. And my understanding is this crosswalk costs $5,000. That's not a lot of money. There's criticism out there that, a study was needed to decide whether or not this thing was needed. Well, I'm an engineer. I work in this profession. I've done these kind of studies, and I can tell you, I can guarantee you that a study would cost at least that much money, $5,000, or maybe even more. So I think this is money well spent and has really enhanced the safety of our community.
Thank you very much. And last for right now, Ashley Shearcliff. Thank you.
My name is Ashley Shearcliff. I live at 5997 Eaglet Drive. I'm also here to show my support for the crosswalk. As you can see, we recently have our first son, and we do a lot of walking with him in the stroller. We also have 2 large labs, so I have a lot to control when I'm out there. I really appreciate that now the sidewalk has been extended. I don't have to cut through people's yards. It was very hard with the stroller. That was my option. Otherwise, I'd have to be in the street longer with him. So I feel much safer, and I'm also thinking ahead for when he's riding his bike someday. I just like the thought that it's, people are now taking notice of us walking across and slowing down, and we really appreciate that. So thank you for putting in the crosswalk.
Thank you very much. And for those of you who have also signed up, in a few minutes we'll come to our second citizens comment period, at which point those of you who have signed up or who decide during the meeting that you would like to speak to us will have an opportunity to do so. So at this time, we have no presentations. We have no minutes at this time. I'll entertain a motion to approve payment of bills.
Also move. Second.
A discussion? Mr. Jones, if you'll call the roll, please.
Mrs. Stoker?
Yes.
Mr. Wong? Yes. Mr. Lang? Yes.
Thank you. Mrs. Baker, items greater than 2,500.
We have 4 items for the board's consideration this evening for requisitions greater than $2,500. The first item is an administration requisition, $6,774.89 to Sayers Company. This is to renew annual license and support agreement and purchase 10 additional licenses for NetMotion wireless application. The NetMotion wireless application is the secure connection from our wireless connectivity to our servers for mostly the public safety operations. The connection enables the township's mobile data computers to securely connect to the township's internal network, which allows for wireless in-field reporting for the public safety venues. These are renewal, as I said, annual licenses for the majority of the police functions, but also in 2011 we need to purchase 5 additional of electronic patient record of the emergency medical system software, which is installed in April of this year. It does require that we buy 5 additional licenses, but these NetMotion licenses are only banded in groups of 10, so we do need to make the purchase of the 10. Although at this time 5 will be utilized, we anticipate that will allow us to grow if we need to, and the other licenses will be available. Item 2, fire, $4,500 to Warren Fire Equipment Incorporated. This is to perform the annual bench testing of the self-contained breathing apparatus and masks. Item 3, Camp Safety Equipment Company, of an amount of $5,879.75. The federal government has required that all VHF radio frequencies be converted to narrow band before January of 2013. Our VHF mobile radios in our fire apparatus have to be narrow banded to meet those federal requirements. 3 of the existing radios can be reprogrammed. However, 11 need to be replaced because of the age of that apparatus, of that equipment. The board took its first step in meeting the conversion and the requirements of the federal government for the VHF narrowbanding at your May 22nd, 2012 meeting, where you authorized the narrowbanding of the fire station alerting system. And item 4, fire to Buckeye Power Sales Company Incorporated in the amount of $2,970.01 to repair Fire Station 74, their emergency power generator.
Do I have a motion to approve items 1 through 4?
I so move.
I'll second for the purpose of discussion.
I have one issue, item 3, the description on our agenda seems to be the same, is that what you're looking at, as the description in item 2?
So I would recommend we withdraw the original motion and make a motion to approve items 1 through 4 as read into the record by Ms. Boyko, not as described in the agenda.
You are...
As long as Mr. Wong
Did you
will
make
withdraw
that?
his motion, I'll make
Yeah,
that
would you
motion.
amend your motion
I'll amend it.
to make that correction, and you'll amend your second?
Second.
I thought he made the motion. Did you make the
No, I
motion?
made the motion.
Okay, and you've amended your motion?
No, I'm sorry, he made the original motion.
And he just
I said-
amended it.
I said if he'll withdraw his motion, I'll make this motion. So now we have
It's
a
kind of
motion on the
six,
floor.
it's kind of 6 of one and a half dozen of the other. We already had a motion on the floor, which was to approve these 4. Mr. Wong, who made the original motion, has now offered to amend the motion per your discussion and comment
So he needs to
to
withdraw his
correct.
original motion.
I see no reason to withdraw the original motion, but I have no
You can't
problem.
have 2 motions on the floor.
I think we
Yes,
can
so
amend the
withdraw the
motion,
original
but
motion.
I think it's unnecessary to go through this discussion.
So
So
just
if
follow.
you withdraw your initial motion, and we'll replace it with another motion. So if you'll withdraw the initial approval of these 4
That's
items,
fine.
and you want to then move to approve these 4 items with the
As read into
exception
the record
that...
by Ms. Boyko, not as listed on the agenda.
Right.
Yeah.
Specifically targeting item 3,
That's correct.
okay? And if you would then like to second,
I'll second.
okay, any more discussion? Mr. Jones, if you'll call the roll.
Mrs. Stoker?
Yes.
Mr. Wong? Yes. Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Mrs. Burke, personnel items.
Fire Chief is requesting the Board's consideration to hire 6 part-time employees to fill currently vacant positions. They are Firefighter 2 EMT James Riddell, Firefighter 2 EMT Andrew Wickerham, Firefighter 2 EMT Kyle Ramsey, Firefighter 2 EMT Andrew Allert, Firefighter 2 Paramedic Matthew Shelton, and Firefighter 2 EMT Jason Brand. All of these positions would be effective July 2nd, 2012, all at the hourly rate of $15.30, with a 1-year probationary period and contingent upon successful completion of testing and procedures.
I'll entertain a motion then per the description gave by Mrs. Boyko.
I so move.
I'll second it.
Discussion? Mr. Jones, if you'll call the roll, please.
Mrs. Stoker?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. Wong? Yes.
Mrs. Boyko, item 6.
At the Board's May 22nd meeting, it conducted a discussion item on fire service to the Northwest area, and at that time, at least a majority of the Board had requested that a work session be scheduled to continue that discussion, where staff could present information on applicable data, economic indicators, and market trends that substantiate why construction of a 6th fire station at this time is not warranted, and wanted to suggest for the Board's consideration July 24th, 2012 at 5:15 p.m. It would be before your second July meeting.
Thank you. Do we have a motion then to set the work session as described by Mrs. Boyko and in the agenda?
So move.
I'll second it.
Discussion?
Works for me.
Okey-doke. Mr. Jones, if you'll call the roll, please.
Mrs. Stoker?
Yes.
Mr. Wong? Yes. Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Mrs. Boyko, item 7.
Item 7, Community Development Department would like the Board's consideration in declaring 6 properties as public nuisances. A sample motion for your consideration is found on page 3 of your memorandum. As we did in the last meeting, we did slightly change the memorandum just to ensure that the transfer of the reading of the items and the property addresses and/or parcel numbers are done accurately. So we just requested the board read the motion as it indicates the properties accurately listed on the trustee agenda. It's not necessary to read them
Do you have it
again.
up?
I do.
Would you like to read it?
Sure. Having reviewed the staff report and affidavit, I move that we declare the properties listed on the Westchester Township Board of Trustees meeting agenda dated June 26, 2012, to be a public nuisance as authorized by the Ohio Revised Code. Staff is directed to cause removal of the nuisances identified and monitor these properties for 90 days to require continued compliance. An administrative fee of 25% shall be added to the contractor fee for these properties.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? Mr. Jones, if you'll call the roll, please.
Mrs. Stoker?
Yes.
Mr. Long? Yes. Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Mrs. Boyko, item 8.
Item 8, a motion not to object to new liquor permit for Lorian Wings LLC doing business as Frickers at 7844 Kingland Drive.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion not to object.
I move that we not object.
I'll second.
Discussion? Mr. Jones, if you'll call the roll, please.
Mrs. Stoker?
Yes.
Mr. Long? Yes. Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Mrs. Boyko, item 9.
Item 9, motion not to object to a liquor permit transfer from Village Tavern Inn, Incorporated, doing business as Kavanaugh's Irish Pub, to Jai Lakshmi Enterprises LLC, doing business as the Spot Irish Pub at 7340 Kingsgate Way. This particular establishment might sound familiar because under April 24th, 2012 agenda, the board did authorize a not to object for a liquor permit that was under the new ownership of Jai Lakshmi Enterprises LLC. But since the liquor permit was not objected to and has been approved, the Enterprises LLC has added a new officer to the company, and the Ohio Department of Commerce Division of Liquor Commission has requested this license be transferred again to incorporate the new officer. So to bring it to your boards for not to object.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion then not to object to a liquor permit.
Also moved.
I'll second.
Discussion? Mr. Jones, if you'll call the roll, please.
Mrs. Stoker?
Yes.
Mr. Long? Yes. Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Okay, as discussed, we have now arrived at the second opportunity for citizens' comments. I'm going to call off those citizens who signed up to speak in the order that they signed. However, if anybody else would also like to address the Board of Trustees, when we get to the end of this list, you're certainly welcome to also volunteer to come forward. So next on our list is Steve Meese of Eagle Creek. Are you here?
You left.
He left. Okay. Mr. Carl Ruhlman.
Good evening again. My name is Carl Ruhlman, 8285 Vental Drive, Westchester. I was going to speak shortly the earlier one, but I guess I'll do all three of my points now, if you don't mind. Relating to citizens' comments at the last trustee meeting, you got a little taste of what letting the rules be broken once can lead to. This principle applies to all levels of government, national, state, county, and local. When we give in to special interest groups, and veterans and senior citizens are special interests, and I can say that because I am one. Or if you pursue your own agenda rather than the core responsibilities of the township, eventually it'll come back to bite you. And if you do, you deserve to be bitten. Item 2, I note that you just finished, at the early part of the meeting, pledging your allegiance to the Republic. What have you done in the past 2 weeks to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States? Something you took an oath to do. My third point, a little longer. It's to the discussion I originated at the last meeting. It concerns the restriction you have placed on the Township Fiscal Officer to not permit his attendance at executive sessions of the Township Board of Trustees. I wrongly made the assumption that an executive session of the board was a special meeting. I apologize. I was wrong. It is not a special meeting. According to a gentleman of the legal profession I talked with in the state auditor's office, an executive session is only a part of a regular meeting of the board to discuss what should be confidential material. But the requirements for the fiscal officer to keep an accurate record of proceedings of the Board of Township Trustees at all of its meetings and all of its accounts and transactions, etc., Section 50704A of the Ohio Revised Code is still there. It should have been obvious to you that I did not mean that full disclosure of the facts and figures disclosed in executive session should be made public. I did not say they should be made public, but I still wonder if you're we're going to executive session now to discuss confidential stuff, and that's not a quote, so. But really, in spirit, does it satisfy the general subject matter of discussions mentioned in ORC 121.22, rather than having any minutes at all? Without the fiscal officer there, and your admission last time that no minutes are kept of executive sessions, and sometimes just two of you there, well, I don't know. But in response to my comments last time, Mrs. Spoker, you addressed a throwaway phrase that I used regarding unelected law director attendance at executive sessions. There's no objection by me of his attendance. I didn't say there really was. I'm sure he's often needed there. You may invite anyone you want. I did ask 3 specific questions on the subject which were ignored. You know, Mrs. Stoker, you have this wonderful little way of addressing a portion of someone's comments, thus giving the appearance of responding, but actually masking the inadequacy of your response. Those 3 unanswered questions are, I had asked, why was the fiscal officer excluded from executive sessions? That's a change of policy, which this action was taken obviously by 2 of you in concert. Question number 2 that I asked, at what meeting of the trustees did this vote to change policy occur? Number 3, if no vote was taken, what's your authority to make such a change? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roman. Next, we have Tom Diamantes and Joe Diamante.
Hi, I'm Tom Diamantes. I live at 6005 Eaglet Drive, and I wanted to tell you I support the crosswalk. The crosswalk's the best thing that's happened to me in a long time. I use it every day, and I love it.
Thanks, Tom.
I'm Joe Diamantes. I live at 6005 Eaglet Drive, and I also would like to express my thanks for the sidewalk. I've crossed Eagle Ridge Drive from Eaglet for many years as I've taken my walks. I always wondered why the sidewalk on Eaglet dumped me right on the pavement. It's like it wasn't finished. And I've had the choice of either crossing Eagle Ridge or the diagonal to get to a driveway that then connected me to the sidewalk, or just crossing the sometimes wet and muddy grass to get back on the sidewalk on Eagle Ridge. The sidewalks did not connect. So I was very happy when the connection was finally made and I could cross Eagle Ridge directly, sidewalk to sidewalk. And the crosswalk and pedestrian signage alert drivers to slow down for those who might be crossing the street. The addition of the crosswalk and the small amount of concrete needed to complete the sidewalk have greatly improved the quality of my daily walks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Paul Shalikoff. Yes, sir.
Hello, everyone. My name is Pavel Shalakov, 8832 Timber Chase Court. If someone doesn't understand my accent, please interrupt me and I will explain it again. We're new, relatively new in the great state of Ohio and at Beckett Ridge. We came from upstate New York, and you can hear from my accent we are not Irish nationals either. So I do appreciate a great big deal coming to Ohio where I do feel like home. And one of those feelings is because we moved to Beckett Ridge, because we do see and feel that things are done here, are done for people and for people. However, few things did not lay correctly in my fresh-looking eyes, which is absence of crosswalk, which is the subject of my support today here. I will probably repeat some statements from other people. So clearly, the sidewalk in Eagle Drive was not connected to measure sidewalk going on the top of a hill. So that sidewalk was leading to nowhere. And that was fixed with a crosswalk and greatly appreciated from my family. The reason is why is me, myself, I'm a runner. I run approximately 30 miles a week. And crossing that road was sometimes tricky because people do not slow down. That said that, with presence of sidewalk and clear signs of that, seeing from far, people do slow down now. And we use, my family uses this sidewalk almost on a daily basis now because of that. Because I have less concern, still some, because not all people obey clear signs and stuff, but it is noticeably you feel safer, and I feel safer. I almost lost from my experience from last year, but thank you for one of our neighbors in our neighborhood. An email came and I read about a parent who practically jumped on a car when school bus stopped with clear signs, stop, and car did not stop. That was me jumping. I'm sorry, I don't see kids dying, and I will do anything to prevent it. And this is one of the reasons I'm here, again, to support the crosswalk. So again, today, I run, I bike with my children, my wife walks, and my mother, who by the way had hip replacement, she will be using it. And she did not do in past because she was concerned crossing this very busy street. And last, I think this crosswalk helps entire community of Beckett Ridge because it clearly says there are people living here, and those busy drivers who try to zap really fast through, not paying attention on others, clearly notified. This is their pedestrians around here. Clearly, you cannot make a crosswalk to each house on this busy street. However, this little three-street community does deserve more attention than single house. And again, it serves everybody. As a only argument to what was done, I've heard one delivered by, I believe, HOA member. And since I read, I'll share it with you. That study should be done, and one of the possibilities was disclosed to reduce speed on Lakota Drive to 25 or something like that. Well, this shows me that this kind of study went wrong from the beginning. Well, you might as well try to reduce speed on 75 to reduce speed limit on Eagle Ridge. That's wrong. So, in this study will cost a lot. Well, explain the justifications, deliverables, I'm a scientist to some degree, and definitions. This project may go nowhere, but what I like around here, again, in Ohio, something was not done right, get it done, move over. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have then one last speaker, B. and Vinod Rao. Are they still here?
Yeah.
Pardon? If you'd like to give your names and address for the record.
My name is Vinod Rao, or Vinny Rao. I am at 6019 Eagle Drive. This is my wife, Bea. And we are here to support the crosswalk. It's one of the best things that has happened in that neighborhood in the last 22 years that we have lived there. One thing I'd like to say is you guys have gone far enough, but not enough, a little bit more. You need to put a sign there that tells motorists, yield to pedestrians.
It is done now, today.
Thank you very much. I stand corrected. Because just like the gentleman before me mentioned, people do not slow down on Eagle Ridge. They are trying to beat as fast as they can. In our state, we have the law to give to pedestrians, but they don't. So if there is a sign, that's perfect. I stand corrected.
And we appreciate this walkway a great way, because I walk there almost every day for the last 22 years. So I appreciate that crossing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's the end of the list of the people who signed up. If anybody else would like to address the Board of Trustees. Yes, sir? Yes, after this gentleman, if you'd like to come down. If you'd like to give us your name and address, sir.
Mark Havercross, 7356 Weathersfield Drive. I serve as the president of the Providence Manor Homeowners Association. Providence Manor consists of 256 homes and represents over $80 million of property value in Westchester. We pride ourselves with the upkeep and maintenance of our properties and our surroundings. In the past, I've called the Westchester Road Department to repair broken or damaged road curbs. Most times, the repair results in a 10-minute, $20 patch job. I've been told in the past by the Westchester Services Department that these types of repairs simply aren't in the budget. When repaired correctly, a 5-foot section of curb is usually replaced, requiring about 1/3 of a yard of concrete. The $4,500 you recently spent on a single crosswalk would pay for 45 yards of concrete. That amount of concrete would have completely replaced 135 bad sections of road curb. My question to our trustees tonight is, what's required to have this type of work done in my area? Especially when I'm told in the past it's not in the budget. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Would anybody else like to address the Board of Trustees at this time? Yes, ma'am. If you'd like to give us your name and your address, please.
Hi, I'm Kayla Smith. I live at 608 Eaglet Drive, and I've lived there for 7 years. And currently, right now, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I have a toddler. But before that, I was a high school student, and I walked to school I don't drive right now. And I walked to and from school every single day. I walk to the grocery store. I walk everywhere. It's what I do. I do it for fitness, for my health. I feel like it's kind of a little bit ridiculous that it's come to this for this issue, but I used, like someone had said before, it just stopped, and to me that was confusing, and I had to walk through someone's yard, and it was very awkward. And someone had said before that there was no accidents, but I personally myself have almost been hit several times since I was 16 until now. I have almost been hit numerous times, and that's not because I'm careless. It's just the drivers coming through down there, a lot of them are careless. It wasn't me not paying attention to the road. So when I found out that there was a crosswalk, I was elated because I like to take my son for walks every day. I feel like saying that not being there is saying that I don't have a right to a healthy lifestyle. If you want to be so passionate about it, I will. That has helped me and my son walk every day. It has helped me get places that I need to get to. And yeah, I understand that I got around before it for 7 years without it, but it's like saying you can go swimming without a life jacket and you can swim, but it's that extra measure of safety that makes you feel more secure. That's what that crosswalk is for me. It's my life jacket when I'm walking across the street. That might sound ridiculous, but it has helped out my family a lot. And I have a bad knee. I know I'm young, but I still have a hard time walking and stuff sometimes. And it hasn't hindered my experience with it, not once, not one time. It has only been a blessing. I feel like it's a godsend, and it's just a crosswalk, but it's helped me out immensely. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Smith.
Would anybody else like to address the Board of Trustees at this time? Yes, ma'am. If you'd like to just give us your name and address, please.
I'm Sabrina Kramer. I live at 8808 Timber Chase Court. I'm also a recent graduate of Lakota West. I graduated in 2008. and spent 3 years walking there and walking to and from school every day. In the morning, especially during the winter, it's extremely dangerous because it's dark, and then you could also have inclement weather. And trying to cross that road was a big hassle. I would often have to wait 5 to 10 minutes before a car would stop and wade me over. So I was very elated to see when I came back from school that there's a crosswalk there now. So now my sister, who also walked to school, and any future generations, I have a little brother who's 8, and he'll probably be going to Lakota West someday. I just think that's a great opportunity now for him that he can cross there safely without worrying about getting hit. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to address the Board of Trustees? Yes, sir. If you'd like to give your, right here, your name and address.
My name is Tony Klimek. I live at 5970 Eaglet Drive. I want to thank you for taking the action to install the crosswalk on Eagle Ridge Drive. I think this action made our community a safer place to live. Prior to this action, like many of the speakers said earlier, the sidewalk ended abruptly, and there was no connector to the sidewalk across the street. This crosswalk provides a complete pathway for pedestrians. I want to thank you for looking out for the citizens of our community. I think you're watching our back. We lived here since 1996. In 2002, my oldest son started walking to Lakota West High School, and he gave me the story the first few days. It's, Dad, it's dangerous. I need to drive the car. And I said, no, Michael, you're walking to school. And he came back a second time a week or so later, the same thing. And I still didn't believe it. Being the father, I wasn't going to look at the situation. It's a dangerous place coming down that road. And after that, we actually conceded to let Michael drive the car and drove him most of the time through high school. But from a bigger perspective, I think this is your job. Your job, or the primary services of local government, is public safety. And I think the residents of this, for doing your job, I think it makes our community safer. And residents in the area now use this crosswalk on a regular basis. It's not perfect, but it made a bad situation a lot better, and I think it could potentially save lives in the future. And I think government leaders have an obligation to watch out for the vulnerable and for our community. We have to look out for each other. That's what we're here for. It may not be a large project, and it may not have created large lobbying or consultant fees for local politicians, but I think this is what local government's all about. It's about giving power and serving the people. So thanks again, Trustees Wong and Stoker. I appreciate it, but I think the citizens of Westchester Township appreciate that you're watching our back. Thanks.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to address the Board of Trustees? If you give us your name and address, sir.
My name's In Cho. I live in 5981 Eaglet Drive. Before I take everybody's time, whatever road Trustee did or our town.
Excuse me, sir. You need to address the trustees, not the audience.
And you have a microphone now.
And the microphone is right there. We won't be able to hear you on the tape if you don't speak into the microphone.
Well, I tell you the truth, I'm so excited about that crosswalk. Before I say anything else, I just want to bow to you guys, everybody here. Whatever
Sir.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Joe.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to address the Board of Trustees? Yes, sir. If you'd like to come up and give us your name and address, sir.
Hi, my name is Fahad Ali, and I live at 8800 Eagle Creek Court, and we've been living there for the past 10 years. And
I'm sorry, sir. How do you spell your name?
It's Fahad. And I just want to say I support the crosswalk because that was a really badly needed crosswalk that we needed in that area, especially just walking. I work long hours, and I usually get time to walk during the night times, and walking on the sidewalk where walking on someone's front yard made me feel uncomfortable, and getting on the road was kind of scary because you would see cars swerving and they would miss you at nighttime. So having that crosswalk and having that added level of safety kind of really helped me feel safe walk at night. And I wanted to thank you guys. Thanks.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to address the Board of Trustees? Ma'am, I don't think this person is. Would you like to come up, please? You haven't spoken yet. If we could first hear from the people who have not spoken. Yes, ma'am, if you could give us your name and address, please.
Hi, my name is Debbie Steele, and I live at 6018 Eaglet Drive. And I have my own personal concerns about the crosswalk. I'm very happy for it, and especially for our neighbor and friend Joe. I would also like to support the idea of a sign that would say blind person crossing, because I think that that would also alert drivers coming up and down Eagle Ridge that there is a potential for an accident with someone like that that's more so than with someone that is sighted. So that is something that I would like to bring forward, but I would like to thank you each for making that happen, because I use it myself as a walker 2 to 3 times a week. My children use it. They have friends on Rupp Farm, and they cross the street with their bikes and back and forth. And so I know it's made me feel safer as a mom, and I've talked with other moms whose children come toward us, and they've voiced the same thing. I would like to share some letters from people in our neighborhood that were not able to be here this evening. This is from Bob Shelton and Danae Howell, and they live at 6052 Eaglet Drive. I myself, this is Bob, I myself use it at least twice daily on my walks, the same with my wife who runs daily. It may not be high usage, but it absolutely gets used and makes it safer to cross. It ties our 3 streets back into the main sidewalks. I have seen pretty many others using it during the day. I guess it doesn't seem like a big deal to the people in cars passing through, but I find it a bit dicey crossing there in 40 to 55 mile-an-hour traffic coming off the hill. If the grass is wet or snowy, the nearest driveway apron is about 75 feet at an angle. I realize traffic will not so much, but at least the visible reminder might influence them to give pedestrians a little break. Some of these people are here this evening, so let me just... Okay, a second letter is from Lisa Dozier and Jeff Fales, and they live at 8820 Eagle Creek Court. And Lisa writes, Jeff and I also use the crosswalk 2 to 3 times a week on our walks as well, and have certainly seen motorists more alert to those crossing Beckett Ridge Drive. Would have to agree the roundabout improved the morning traffic flow. Unfortunately, some motorists other times of day also use it like a racetrack where speed bumps make sense to slow down that traffic. This is from Bonnie Simpson, letter number 3, at 8792 Eagle Creek Court. As part of a family-oriented community, I feel crosswalks are good things, and if just one life is unknowingly saved because a driver had to slow down or stop, how many dollars would that be worth? Just one other thing. If we're talking wasteful, I would like to throw in a vote for the unendingly ugly series of signs for the traffic circle. What an eyesore. Okay, another letter from Jean and Donna Kennedy at 8810 Eagle Creek Court. I wanted to let you know that we think the new crosswalk was long overdue. Donna and I both use it when we go for a walk along the new walking paths. We have also seen students walking to Lakota West and having difficulty crossing Eagle Ridge. The traffic on Eagle Ridge is very heavy during school hours in the morning. This new crosswalk may even encourage more students to walk to school. Okay. This is from Sharon Palm at 6075 Eaglet Drive. Lee came to a Beckett Ridge board meeting to see if the HOA supported it. Everyone on the board agreed it was necessary and would be a good improvement for the area, especially for the school bus stop. I do have to say our family only uses it a couple of times a week as a pedestrian. However, I drive through the intersection daily. It is now better defined where walkers should cross, which makes it easier for the drivers too. Before the crosswalk, people would try to be crossing at a diagonal at the intersection, which was very confusing for the car drivers. I have also seen many walkers that are not only from our three streets. Residents from Owl's Nest and Rook Farm also frequent the crosswalk as pedestrians. This is from Norma and Howard Milliron of 6076 Eaglet Drive. Although I do not personally use this crosswalk, I am very happy to know it was placed there for us, especially the elderly, visually or otherwise impaired, and children. In fact, it is at a spot where several children get off regularly from their school buses, and I think it is a reminder to people that Eaglet and Eagle Ridge Drive is a residential area and to drive slowly. This is from Kim Pollock at 6041 Eaglet Drive. I use it daily on my walks and appreciate it. The extensive traffic on the hill must notice it, and I like not having to walk in neighbors' yards when I cross. This is from Deb Bentley at 6047 Eaglet Drive. My son's bus had to change routes to accommodate the speeding traffic, and even after that, the cars would continue to fly by the stopped bus. There was one instance when a father jumped into the street to stop a speeding car from hitting the kids, which must have been Pavel, and was almost hit himself. I think the crosswalk is all about the safety of our community and not political at all. This is from Rosie Park at 6062 Eaglet Drive. My family and I really appreciate the new crosswalk. It provides a safer way to cross Eagle Ridge by alerting crazily speedy drivers to keep an eye out for pedestrians and cyclists. My family and I went on a bike ride and jogged this evening, Monday night, and noticed that cars slowed down significantly at the crosswalk. I used to feel bad crossing the street right at that intersection, since I'd have to walk on the grass on the other side. When I would try and get my kids to try and stay on the paved road until the curb cut, inevitably my kids would get confused, or car drivers would get confused about what we were trying to do, and it would end up a mess. In light of that, my children and their 8-year-old friend, who was unfamiliar with the street and the crosswalk, were at that intersection about a week ago. Patrick, the friend, started to cross the street without looking both ways, but thanks to the crosswalk, cars slowed down for him. One thing I really appreciate about Beckett Ridge is how many places we can walk to, and this crosswalk makes it that much easier, safer, and more pleasant. As a parent, I worry a lot about at what point I can let my kids venture out by themselves, even beyond Eagle Ridge. The crosswalk definitely eases my safety concerns about their crossing the street. Thanks to Lee Wong and the members of the government who supported this crosswalk. Thank you, Mrs. Stokely.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
This is from Chris Dendy at 6062 Eaglet Drive. I would start from the assumption that Westchester and Beckett want to be a community that is welcoming for families. If so, here is an example of where we have residential streets that are not safe for a 6-year-old to cross with their bike. The crosswalk definitely improves this by giving kids and drivers good boundaries, and it's much cheaper than an alternative like putting sidewalks on our side of Eagle Ridge. I doubt that any parent of young kids feels comfortable letting them cross Eagle Ridge alone, but this certainly helps. Is it worth that investment for Beckett to encourage kids to get around the neighborhood, especially if they're going to walk to school because of Coda cut funds for busing to Freedom and Ridge?
Point of order. Yes. Certainly it is the board's prerogative to continue to accept the citizens' comments. However, generally in the past, where applicable to zoning hearings, if the board had multiple comments that were redundant and continue to repeat on the same topic, the board has conferred and determined that perhaps if there are any new information, new dialogue that needs to be shared, that you would accept those and not just the repeated and redundant.
Thank you. That is appropriate. We were having such a short meeting. I was enjoying all the comments, but it's up to the board members if you would like to hear everybody, or if you would like me to ask just if somebody has something new to say.
I certainly don't object to hearing from anybody. If someone's going to be redundant, just stand up and say I support the crosswalks. But I don't mind hearing from everybody.
Will you tell me how many more does for this sidewalk or against?
I have one resident who is indifferent to the sidewalk being put in, but she's glad that it's there now, but she really doesn't use it. Other than that, everyone is for it. And they're, let's see. I have a total of 25 letters. Some of them I have gone through because the people are here this evening. And this represents 65 households of Eaglet Drive, Eaglet Creek Drive, and Timber Chase Drive that come off of Eaglet and Lower Eagle Ridge, which includes 187 residents. And in addition to this, I have 2 letters from parents on Rupp Farm who have written me to support the crosswalk because they appreciate the fact that it's safer for their children to cross over onto our side of the street.
Okay, if it's a pleasure of the board, I think that statement is great. If you wanted to leave the letters with us, that would be fine for our record.
Thank you, David.
And thank you very much for bringing in all these letters for your neighbors.
May I make one other comment?
Certainly.
I feel that the crosswalk is a matter of safety, and I realize that Lee lives on our street, and so it's come under consideration because of that. And I feel for people who have issues with their curbs or, matters that have to be updated or replaced. But I really feel that the issue about this crosswalk comes down to safety. And in the letters and in the people that have been here tonight, I think that that's been the number one concern. People have given instances of being almost hit or near misses or not feeling safe. And so, to me, that's the big take-home message about this crosswalk, and I truly thank you for it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did anybody else, yes, sir, would you like to address the board?
My name is Mike Finn, 8871 Timber Chase Court. Someone brought up the fact that there's never been anybody hit there or an accident. If you watch the news every night, they're putting up stop signs, crosswalks, after some child has been hit. There's nothing wrong with being proactive. Through the emails that were bantered around the past few days, it was stated that this was political. The person in question has the respect of a great number of people in the Eaglet subdivision, and I think if it was political, he might have gained 2 more votes that he wouldn't have had before, and I don't think that's going to swing an election. If that was political, it was sad political savvy. My daughter went to West High School, and the first day she walked there, and that night she said, I made it across, but I almost didn't make it coming home. I had to run. And because of the angles, there was no defined area. The next day she almost got hit going to school, and I drove her to school after that until she got her license. The one young lady that spoke, I've seen she and or her sister walking in the dark early in the morning, sprinting across. Again, there's nothing wrong with being proactive. If a lot of these situations in the greater Cincinnati area were done proactively, there's probably 100 children that haven't been hurt or killed. So I do not use the crosswalk. I work too often. I only work half days. I just don't rather work the first 12 hours or the second 12 hours. So I don't go out walking. I go home and collapse a lot. But I think it's a fine thing. I think it adds to the community. Too many communities are letting things go until they die. To show a little proactive situation helps us all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would anybody else like to address the Board of Trustees? Anybody who has not yet spoken? One moment, Mr. Roman. We're letting those people who haven't spoken today speak first, but we'll get to you. Yes, sir. If you could give your name and address.
My name is Mark Morris, and I reside at 8876 Eagle View Drive. I actually had a prepared statement tonight that I was going to read, but after listening to what I have listened to, I also, I'm the president of my homeowners board at the village at Beckett Ridge that is off Westchester Road. I also sit on the board of the Master Beckett Ridge HOA. I supported the crosswalk at the meeting that Mr. Long presented. I have nothing against the crosswalk. But when we talk about safety issues in the community, we have to talk about safety issues for the community as a whole, not just one selected area. If you take my community, for instance, I have 216 homeowners in my community. We have one entrance and one exit out of my community. I am located on Westchester Road. If anyone has driven Westchester Road in the morning between 7 a.m. and 7:40 in the morning, or again from 4:30 to 6 at night, you cannot get out of my community on Westchester Road. You take your life into your hands trying to make a left-hand turn and sometimes even a right-hand turn. So the only objection I have is not against the crosswalk at all, because I'm all about safety and making the community a better place to live. But sometimes when township trustees make decisions, they need to make decisions based upon the needs of the whole community as well. I'm actually the person that rose the question about reducing the speed on Lakota Drive West, because between Mulhauser and the roundabout, it is entirely too fast. I travel that road sometimes 3 and 4 times a day, and I can tell you in the wintertime, there are always cars that are off in the ditch because they've tried to take the corner too fast. As far as the roundabout, it was another great idea. We just need to figure a way to teach the people how to use it, because that's another big issue that I don't think people addressed when they looked at the crosswalk on Eaglet, that when you have cars that are driving 45 miles an hour on a road, they make a right-hand turn through that roundabout and go up the hill, they're still going 45 miles an hour. And my only safety concern is that you have a crosswalk at the bottom of the hill, you have a crosswalk on Eaglet Drive, and are people really going to be paying attention to 2 crosswalks that are within 100 yards of each other? That's my only concern, and maybe there needs to be different signage. Maybe there needs, I don't know if the township has any authority over the speed limit or not on that road, or if it's a county issue. But I do know, because I've lived in other communities before, it's not impossible to get a speed reduced on a road, as some people seem to think. You know, the other reason, it's just, it all goes down to safety. And I'm a big supporter of safety, and the only problem I have is, not only as a homeowner, but as someone that knows several people in Westchester, people now want to know in other parts of the city, of the village, how do we get a crosswalk? Is it that simple that you bring 2 homeowners to a meeting, to a trustee meeting, and say we support a crosswalk, and they can get a crosswalk at the end of their street? How do the township trustees now justify anyone that walks into this room that wants a crosswalk when they tell them that they can't do it when they've already done it for some? Also, up on Beckett Ridge Boulevard, we have a far bigger issue with safety concerns. I mean, you can go up there at school time hours and you can see hundreds of elementary kids walking in the middle of the street in the dark to try to get to school. And the cars up on Beckett Ridge Boulevard, they do travel 55, sometimes 60 miles an hour. And I would hate to see a child get hit by a car that is up there. And there are many streets that are on that south side of Beckett Ridge Boulevard where they have to cross 4 lanes of traffic to get to the other side. And it's not that I'm against the crosswalk, because I think anything that will improve community safety is a good idea. It's just that sometimes I don't think that everybody really sat and looked at the big picture and how it would impact the whole community before a decision was made. And that might have been able, you might have been able to do that by doing a study that I know some people are against. And maybe this was a simple project. I'm all for government doing smaller projects, because a lot of times there is too much red tape. That's why the country's in the mess it's in up in Washington, because it takes too many days to try to buy a pencil. It takes 15 people to sign off, to do one little thing. But at the same hand, I just feel that I'm really disturbed in the way that the whole issue was handled, and I just feel that it could have been handled in a different way. And that's really all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. Would anybody else like to? Yes, sir. If you'd like to come in and give us your name and address, please.
My name is Mark Welch. I live at 5879 Owl Nest Drive. I've been a resident of Westchester since the fall of 1990, living at the same address. And I've heard a lot of people get up and share their thoughts as to the safety, as to the number of times they cross the crosswalk and how much they use it and how much they like it and all that kind of stuff. I can neither confirm nor deny how many times they use this crosswalk or how many times they crossed Eagle Ridge before the crosswalk was in. And nobody can say that they're against safety. Everybody wants safer streets. But when you have a project like this, you really should do the due diligence in order to determine whether or not a need exists. For instance, when you do a survey or when you do a study, you want to see a measurable increase in safety that's quantifiable. Now, in engineering parlance, what I've heard here tonight is qualitative, which means that it's kind of a feeling. For instance, let me just give you some examples. Let's say we build this thing, whatever it is, then 500 people will be cured. If we change the way we do this, then 2,000 people will be saved. If we install this crosswalk at Eaglet, then how many people will be kept from injury and possibly death? The problem here is you can't improve safety when there is no safety problem in the first place. The Westchester Police accident reports, since they've been taking these accident reports, show 0 injuries on Eagle Ridge. I don't know how you're going to improve on 0. Seems to me that if you're talking about safety at this point, you're pretty far on a limb, because if something does happen now, it's going to show that that crosswalk actually impacts safety in a negative way. This exact situation, where a less busy street tees into a busier street, and the sidewalk is on the other side of the busier street, occurs 13 times in Beckett Ridge. If we multiply that by 5,000, now we've got $65,000 for potential crosswalks just in Beckett Ridge. I would say that 3 of the possible crosswalks are what I would consider critical. Those crosswalks occur at Pine Valley Drive and Beckett Ridge Boulevard, Windbrook Trail and Beckett Ridge Boulevard, Deer Path, and actually there's 3 more. There's those 2 that I just mentioned they have the exact same situation that occurs at Eaglet and Eagle Ridge. You have to cross the street to get to the sidewalk on the other side. This doesn't include those areas where a crosswalk might be warranted, like Linfield Drive and Beckett Ridge Boulevard, where at Freedom Elementary School, Beckett Station Drive and Beckett Ridge Boulevard, where kids might cross to get to Freedom and Lakota Ridge, and at the top of Eagle Ridge Drive at Beckett Ridge Boulevard. My problem with this crosswalk is not safety. It doesn't have anything to do with safety. My problem with this crosswalk has everything to do with how it was presented and approved. The end, in this case the crosswalk, does not justify the means by which it was approved. With what Mark Morris talked about, and the rest of you, with documentation from the Beckett Ridge Homeowners Association and from other documentation from the township with dates and things like that, it makes this crosswalk sound like a backroom deal in a political favor. We don't need to run this kind of politics in Westchester Township. As a citizen, I expect transparency of my local government and elected officials. I reiterate my request at the last trustee meeting. Since there was no fact-finding or engineering study done prior to the crosswalk installation, I'm asking that the Board of Trustees approve of one now. It's irresponsible for Westchester Township to allow the crosswalk to remain without conducting an engineering study to determine the safety of the new crosswalk. If the study shows an increase in safety for local residents, then it stays. It's that simple. If, however, there's a potential decrease in safety of local residents, then it should be removed. And from the last meeting, the University of California, Berkeley, the Institute for Transportation Studies, in an article entitled Crosswalk Markings for Better or Worse, basically concluded at uncontrolled locations, which Eagle is, with the addition of a marked crosswalk alone, with no engineering, enforcement, or education enhancement, did not reduce pedestrian accidents for any of the conditions included in the study. And they looked at over 5 years, 1,000 marked crosswalks and 1,000 matched unmarked crosswalks, all uncontrolled. You know what? You may not want to spend $5,000 on a study. But you know, I took a couple hours. I called the Westchester Police Department, and they told me, no, we haven't had an incident. Well, what about Lakota Drive West? No, not there either. There's never an incident. I understand getting out in front of a problem before there's a problem. But if we've got 13 crosswalk potential locations in Beckett Ridge alone, how many are in Westchester? This could be a big, expensive precedence. So again, like the rest of you, I'm all for safety. Recent studies do not verify that a crosswalk adds anything to the safety of citizens moving across the street. If you wanted to do a simple study, do what I did. Call the police department, use Google Maps, look around on the internet. That's what it's there for. Look for safety studies and whatnot. You may not have to spend $5,000. It may be that you spend $5,000 and it'll work for all crosswalks in Westchester. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to address the Township trustees? Let's try, we're getting around to the second time up. Anybody who has not addressed us yet who would like to address us? Oh, we do have one back there. Oh, we've got two. Okay, so, Mr. Handel, if you could come first, and sir in the striped shirt, if you would like to come after that. And as soon as we finish listening to everybody who's not spoken previously tonight, then we can start with all the people who want to speak again.
Gene Handel, 6061 Eagle Drive. I've lived there for 21 years. I've also lived in Westchester for 34 years. Mr. Welch's great discussion about safety. You must place where this is. This is right by Lakota West High School. There's a lot of kids that walk down the street and cross that Eagle Ridge every day to go to high school. I'm sure the safety factor doesn't take that into effect where it's located. You can take a safety factor all day, but be proactive. There's a high school, there's a bus stop for children. That's the most important thing you have to look at. It's not worry about study.
Thank you. And the gentleman, if you'd like to give us your name and address, sir.
Okay, I'm Hagen Kramer. I'm living in 808 Timber Chase Court. Also would like to add with Mr. Welch. I mean, clearly from all the people have been giving their concern about the crosswalk and how it helps them. It's pretty obvious that there was a safety concern and that it makes the neighborhood more safe, and especially in regards to the proximity of the high school and the bus drop-off right on Eagle Ridge. We have all experienced very dangerous situations there, so I don't think we need a big safety study to figure that out. But I would certainly agree that there are other spots in our community where we would like to have also crosswalks, and the elementary school at Freedom is certainly a one where I would really love to see also a crosswalk. So maybe yes, I would agree there are other needs for crosswalks as well. I'm not sure. I don't think probably all the 13 intersection he was mentioning will need that, but any intersection which proximity to a school would indicate that yes, there probably would need to be a crosswalk as well, and maybe that can be looked at in the future. In budget permitting over the years, those can be instituted. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Now, anybody else who has not addressed the trustees tonight who would like to address us? Okay, second time up. Oh, no, we have a newbie. Hang on. We'll get you there.
My name is Bert Young. I live at 8513 Eagle Ridge Drive in Beckett Ridge. And I'd like to bring to the board's attention a little history. 3.5 years ago, representatives from the Beckett Ridge Homeowners Association, along with representatives from the Beckett Station, and Points of Beckett Homeowner Associations, along with representatives from Westchester Township and representatives from the Lakota school system, got together and started talking about the problem we would have in our community if we eliminated busing. We began to talk about the flow patterns, what we could do to put pavements in place to get our children safely into the schools. A lot of money involved in that. Haven't come up with a good answer yet, but we're all still working on that, I think. But what we really found out was if we could start channeling the children into the available walks that were there, it would be a major step in the right direction. This crosswalk fits that example. As a result, Beckett Ridge Homeowners Association sent you a letter on April 25th, 2012, stating their concern about the safety issue with our children getting onto the sidewalks so that we could walk them up to the right intersections and get them across the right places. And we could start doing that. And we coupled that with the fact there was a turn, circle, at the end of the drive, that was causing a speed increase. Not that we want to complain about people increasing speed. That happens. You got to enforce that. That's a different issue we'll work on as a community. It was a positive thing to put the circle in. It has some ramifications to it. Ramifications come out to the people that live off Eaglet and the associated courts off that. There's about 57 homes in that area. There's close to 200 people living in there. So getting them channeled onto the sidewalk is an improvement to everybody. When I look at historical data on safety, I guess I have to first look at what's changed. Well, we're not busing our children anymore. We're getting more traffic. People are becoming more exercise conscious, and our traffic pattern has increased because the flow of traffic is better on Eagle Ridge. It's moving faster. Therefore, history isn't what I want to look at. The future is what I want to look at. And we want to prepare for the future, and we've been working for over 3.5 years with the Township, with Lakota, and the other associations up there to do just that. And I think this particular crosswalk was a step in the right direction. It was a low-cost alternative, and I would literally be shocked if other communities in Westchester are not coming to this board with their HOAs and asking for crosswalks and safer passage for their children as they go to schools. The major issue we have here is we've saved money in the school budget, and we've caused an infrastructural problem in our community. And now we're going to have to address it. And we're just at the beginning of that. We're just at the beginning. A $5,000 crosswalk to help promote safety and good traffic flow is nothing compared to the millions of dollars this community is going to have to spend if we continue to walk our children to schools. It's coming. Studies have to be done. Studies have been started. We've been working on this for over 3.5 years. This is just one step, and it was the appropriate step. I thank the board for their action. I thank them for putting the crosswalk in, and we hope to look forward to working in harmony with you as we make other improvements too. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, anybody else who has not yet spoken tonight? We're trying to be fair here. Okay, anybody who'd like a second time up? Mr. Roman.
Point of order.
Yes.
Mr. President. Now, are we going to permit this? Everyone's allowed to speak.
Yes.
Point, counterpoint all night.
We're not responding to it, but we are allowing people. Oh, you're talking about, we don't know if Mr. Coleman, if Mr. Roman, you're saying, is responding to these. Is this appropriate? I don't know. That's not the purpose. Township's citizens' comments is to address the board, not to address the audience. And Mr. Roman, you're an experienced citizens commenter, so we trust you to use your position wisely.
Absolutely. Carl Roman, 8285 Ventle Drive. You've provided an evening that I've really enjoyed. I like what I've seen here this evening. The diversity of input and just all the different opinions and all the different people. Diversity is said to be pretty good, and it is. Of course, it's the freedom behind that allows the diversity, which is really responsible. But this is really vetting the issue. This was finding out a lot more than happened at the beginning. And I'm sure Tony didn't really realize, perhaps, that George really didn't speak against this. He wanted more information rather than hurrying into it. So I think he said something like, I'll probably support this if I can find out a little more about it. So I really like what I've seen. There are so many issues at all levels of government that we should get involved with. So I'm thankful that you let the people speak, because we need it at all levels. And of course, your time is our time. And I have often wondered about the speed limit on Lakota Drive. It seemed a little high as I drive it. I enjoy the speed limit being higher than maybe it should be. So I'm not recommending an increase, but I've wondered about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to address the board?
It'd probably be appropriate if I wanted
Your name on the record, please? Yes, sir. My name is Bruce Jones. I live at 5685 McCarthy Court. I'm the duly elected fiscal officer, and for that I'm thankful. And I wanted to comment on a different subject.
Excuse me, Mr. Jones, if you could address the board.
Oh, you'll hear it.
Thank you.
Though I submitted the last meeting's minutes to you, the board, for a courtesy review last Thursday, they were not on this evening's agenda for two reasons. One, Kathy said in a meeting, in an email she sent me yesterday, I did not have sufficient time to carefully review both the video and your minutes for this meeting. Just speaking as one trustee, I am not prepared to vote on these minutes, which is perfectly fine by me. The second reason they're not on the agenda this evening is because we need to have a discussion about the minutes in order to maintain their accuracy and integrity. And since we're talking about the integrity of public records, I want to talk about them in front of the public. I have absolutely no interest in taking the matter of the public minutes into the secrecy of executive session. Absolutely not. At the last meeting, you may recall, Kathy provided a statement she asked me incorporated into the minutes and proceeded to read it. She made repeated references to needing, quote, accurate minutes. But
but at no time were inaccuracies in my minutes identified. Not one factual inaccuracy. Now, having been ambushed at that meeting, I had little opportunity to prepare a response, let alone vet her entire statement. But in my response, I identified a comment Kathy wanted attributed to her at the May 22nd meeting. And in it, she said something to the effect, she watched traffic on Eagle Ridge at the proposed crosswalk, quote, before and after completion, unquote. But it was revealed that their crosswalk was not completed until the following day on the 23rd. Kathy apologized for the error, attributing it to being very busy prior to the meeting. But regardless of the reason for the error, it nevertheless was factually untrue. Furthermore, at no time at the meeting of May 22nd did you, Kathy, comment to the effect that you were out there watching traffic on Eagle Ridge. It's not in the records. That is another issue and another problem. Now, by law, reading from Ohio Revised Code 507.14a, it's brief, so don't doze off. The Township Fiscal Officer shall keep an accurate record of the proceedings of the Board of Township Trustees at all its meetings, etc., etc. The proposed statement, being inaccurate, without question, was illegal. And I'm not doing that. I'm not modifying the minutes to reflect something that was not true. Now, I have absolutely no reason to believe, Kathy, that that was your intent, but that nevertheless would have been the net result. Furthermore, many of the comments, the concepts you wanted subsequently incorporated into the minutes were already accounted for in the minutes I sent you. And I think we all got a taste tonight of how difficult it is in this crosswalk talk and everybody talking about safety and the redundancies, that how should that be written? There's about 50 people here, and I submit there would be 50 different variations of how the minutes should be written, if you really want to get down to it. And I doubt if any two trustees would agree on them either, with the standards recently being pursued. Now, the next morning after that most recent meeting, Lee called me with his ideas, including, quote, what I meant to say, unquote. I said at the last meeting, the official minutes should not degenerate into I wish I said, I meant to say, if only I could have said, I feel that way oftentimes myself. But I was elected to provide oversight, not to cover your oversights. And that's exactly what I will do. I will maintain the accuracy and integrity of the minutes so long as I do them. Another point, Lee, you commented that there were too many lines in the minutes attributed to George. Lee, George talks a lot more than you do. Kathy talks a lot more than you do. They say more. Furthermore, he had a very lengthy prepared statement. And if you compared my minutes to what he said, I cut him way, way down. The next time you have a lengthy prepared statement, your portion of the minutes will subsequently be longer. I hope that makes sense to you. Lastly, you should already know that once I've completed the minutes, they're then reviewed by first Anita and staff, then Audrey and staff, usually for grammatical, spelling, formatting issues, and then by Judy, in case she takes issue with substantive issues, and then we discuss them. You are by no means the first to critique the minutes. In conclusion, I will not be modifying my minutes in the absence of any factual errors pointed out to me, and in so doing will maintain the integrity of these public documents in accordance with the law.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Would anybody else like to address the trustees? In that case, I think we can move along. We have no voting on second. I've got so many notes written all over my agenda, I can't read the agenda. Okay, discussion items and trustee comments. Mrs. Berkeley, did you have some updates on the World Choir Games?
I have two discussion items, very briefly, for the board's consideration. Just wanted to publicly share with the board, as hopefully our residents have already discovered, that the Westchester was fortunate enough to be selected to host a friendship concert for the International 2012 World Choir Games. More than 20,000 participants from 48 countries with 362 choirs are expected to compete in 23 different categories, which will be held in the city of Cincinnati, July 4th through July 14th of next month. Westchester's Friendship Concert is scheduled for Friday, July 6th at the Square at Union Center from 7 to 9 p.m. The performing choirs are the Abuja Choral Ensemble from Nigeria, the Taichung Chamber Choir from Taipei, China, the Canterbury College Canterbury Choir from Australia. That is new information that we received late this afternoon. They will be replacing what we originally thought was the Friendly Sons of St. Patrick's Glee Club. And the remaining choir will be the Sakura Ladies Choir from the USA. The additional musical performances will include local choirs and visual arts activities presented by the Arts Council of Westchester and Liberty. There's no charge for the performance, and tickets will not be sold. In the case of rain, the Friendship Concert will be moved to Lakota West High School in their auditorium, where obviously seating will be limited. So I just wanted to make that information available to the board and to the residents. I have one other item.
Before you move on to the next one, will that schedule be posted on the Township website so that people can go to the website and find out where the Friendship Choir is going to be held in the Township?
Oh, yes, it's already on the website, yes.
Thank you. Next.
Okay. The other items, I'm not looking for any direction from the board this evening, just simply wanted to share this with the board, requesting that you share your interest in considering this particular item at some future date. Several years ago, Ohio statute was enacted, Ohio Revised Code 505.871, granting townships greater flexibility in defining and declaring motor vehicles as junk, and permitting townships through a defined process to declare, remove, and subsequently dispose of statutorily defined and determined junk motor vehicles. The new statute provides a specific definition of a junk motor vehicle and further provides the threshold for removal is that statutory definition of junk motor vehicle and not the nuisance statute. Previously, you had to meet the requirements and the thresholds and criteria of a nuisance in order to declare something a junk motor vehicle. Previously, I shared with the trustees a draft resolution adopting a policy for the Community Development Department to follow, governing determination, removal, and disposal of junk motor vehicles as defined by the statute. In your memorandum that was included as part of your packet, there was an attached, that proposed resolution was attached for your review, generally outlining initially publicly noticing how the township will declare, remove, and dispose of statutorily defined and determined junk motor vehicles. Each junk motor vehicle defined and determined must be declared by subsequent and independent resolution beyond what is being presented to you this evening. So I'd like to just clarify that the purpose of this initial resolution is simply to emphasize that they're acting or not enacting this proposed resolution does not alter the township's ability to declare vehicles as junk vehicles. This simply is providing a mechanism to alert the community that this is the process the township will follow in the event it determines a vehicle is declared junk as defined by the statute, the new statute, and the process on how that vehicle will be removed and eventually disposed of. So it just clearly establishes the process, does not preclude or does not restrict you from then filing a junk vehicle under a separate statute as defined by the Ohio Revised Code. So I wanted to bring that to the board's attention. Just if you would like to, this is something that was presented to you through just other means initially, but wanted to bring it for the board's discussion for public on how you would like to proceed. If you want more information or you need additional time to render a position, we certainly can bring this back up for another item.
I'm okay proceeding to put it on the agenda in the next meeting or two.
Okay.
For a final
Mr. Wong?
discussion. Is it a problem in the township though? I'm not seeing.
No, I don't believe that the township has declared anything under nuisance, under junk vehicle, currently under the previous statute.
Yeah.
However, there was one opportunity where we could have utilized this particular thing, but we always try to work through voluntary compliance with the property owner, and they voluntarily complied.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Wong, do you have a problem with moving forward on this now, or you want to say, vote next week on it? Gives us a little more time.
I think we should just move forward. It's up to you.
I don't think there's an impact on us if we wait.
In case citizens want to comment on it.
Okay, that's fine.
That's not good government when we just move forward without having diversity of input like we had tonight.
So then what I can do is perhaps, this meeting will air, there'll be an opportunity, we can post the resolution on the website.
That'll be fine.
And then bring it up, maybe not your next meeting, but 2 meetings from today's date.
Okay. Any problem with that? Mr. Wong? No problem? Okay, that's good.
I do have one last thing that came up during the discussion, and it's really none of my business, and it's certainly not within my authority to propose this or expect any kind of response from the Board of Trustees, but I do know that it was the board's position to have the fiscal officer speak, well, I should say a majority of the board's position to have the fiscal officer speak during citizens' comments, and it just seems kind of silly that he has to go up to the podium and speak. Certainly, it would make, in order to revere his position, it would make better sense potentially that he be able to speak from the dais. Or
I have
under citizens' comments.
The whole purpose of everybody going up to the dais was, podium was because there was a microphone there, so that people could record. I have no problem with Mr. Jones speaking from, because he's got a microphone where he sits.
I have no problem.
And he may tell me to mind my own business, so I don't want to offer anything that's not within my...
I've generally identified with him much better than you all, but that's quite all right.
Well, I know.
So why don't we leave it up to Mr. Jones? He can speak from his chair or go up to the podium during citizens' comments you're most comfortable with.
So specifically, are you suggesting that the agenda would be modified to reflect, trustee and fiscal officer comments? Is that what we're talking about?
I think they would retain it under citizens' comments. Is that?
I think under citizens' comments, you have been going up to the podium. I think what we're saying is we're very comfortable with you if you would like to make your comments from your chair. There's no need for you to get up to the podium. The reason everybody else gets up to the podium is there's a microphone there so that we can more accurately record their comments. That is not your situation. So, and I believe I'm speaking for the board when I say we're leaving it up to you.
Okay.
If you would like to speak from your chair or speak from the podium during citizens' comments when you would like to address us.
I appreciate that. It's so convenient, and I'm so comfortable with it. We'll play by ear in the future. Thank you.
All right. Now, did we have anything else we'd like to bring up, Mr.
Sure, yeah. I appreciate everybody from Beckett Ridge and Eaglet coming in and sharing all of their comments regarding the crosswalk. And for the record, I have never said I'm against the crosswalk. I have been against the process, and I am not sure that the crosswalk is the best answer. Maybe it is, but the problem isn't people walking at that point. The problem is speeding up and down Eagle Ridge Boulevard. I think everybody would agree with that. And the speeding problem is just as bad going up the hill as it is going down the hill. And with that problem, it's possible that we are going to exacerbate the safety situation by putting a crosswalk in, especially an unlit crosswalk with people that are using it, especially in the evening, with cars that aren't used to it being there. Ohio Revised Code says this about a crosswalk. It says crosswalks should not be used indiscriminately. It says an engineering study should be required before they are installed at locations away from traffic signals or stop signs, which this fits that definition. So for us to do a study It's what Ohio Revised Code recommends should happen when you have an indiscriminate crosswalk that is installed away from locations. And I've also got numerous articles that I have found that say that a crosswalk has a potential to add to the incidence of negative results. So all I wanted was exactly what happened tonight. Let's have input. Let's not be afraid to explore an opportunity. And I did not have that opportunity to explore. I found out yesterday, I met with Mike Morris and found out that my colleague did have that opportunity to explore. First thing I heard about this was on April the 24th when Mr. Cho showed up at our meeting. And by the way, for the record, I use that road about twice a day. I've never seen anybody cross the crosswalk, but I've seen Mr. Cho walking down the sidewalk. I know there's only one way he got that, and that was to use the crosswalk. So I'm glad to see that it did have a positive incidence. And then at our next meeting, which was on May 8th, at that meeting on April 24th, we asked staff, please proceed, move forward with exploring. Does this make sense? Is this a good idea? Then at May 8th, right before the meeting started, I got a packet of information. And I was asked to make a decision that night without having any time to review that information. And all I asked my colleagues for was give me 2 weeks. I got this literally minutes before the meeting started. All I said was give me a couple of weeks. After meeting with Mr. Morris, I found out Mr. Wong did have time to look at this, which he did not disclose to us at the meeting. On April 17th, Mr. Wong presented to the Beckett Ridge Homeowners Association this program. And according to the minutes at the Beckett Ridge Homeowners Association dated for the April 17th meeting, Lee Wong presented a proposal from the Township to install a crosswalk across Eagle Ridge from Eaglet Drive. The cost will be paid by the Township. The board agreed to the plan. Well, the Township never authorized Mr. Wong to go there to give a proposal from the Township. He could have been there as a citizen or as a resident talking.
What was the date of that meeting?
This was April 17th, Kathy, and Mr. Cho spoke to us on April 24th. I assume that's the first time you heard about this as well. And according to Mr. Morris, when Mr. Wong was at this meeting, he actually had pictures. He was very prepared for this. I just wish someone had disclosed that and given us, or given me, I'm not speaking on behalf of Kathy, the same opportunity to properly vet this project. And as I mentioned, the Ohio Revised Code says that we should do a study for an indiscriminate crosswalk like this. The crosswalk's there. Mr. Walsh brings up the fact maybe we should do a study now. Maybe we should. I don't think it would be that expensive. But we could find out if the crosswalk truly is the right thing. Or, as Mr. Meehan, an engineer, has suggested, there are better ways to slow down the traffic on Eagle Ridge Boulevard that would deliver better results than we have with the crosswalk.
Thank you. Mrs. Berkowitz, what is the definition of an engineering study? When people have been using this term engineering study, just does how much beyond going to an engineer and having an engineer look at the project does engineering study go? Or is that what it is? An engineer looks at the project and evaluates it?
I certainly am not a civil engineer, nor do I presume to be an expert in any type of traffic safety manual.
Isn't that why we go to our Butler County engineer?
Yes, yes.
Our engineer, though, did not do a study. He was asked if he had any concerns or objections. He said, we just looked at the picture and said, there's no concerns we can think of. There was no official study done to make sure this was the best use for the most people.
It was my understanding that through discussions with the county engineer's office, they consulted the traffic manual. And Trustee Ron, the quote that you read I think is directly from the traffic manual, the Uniform Traffic Control Manual or something. Okay, so I don't know if that's directly ORC statute. So I wasn't sure about that.
There's the ORC statute in there that says it shouldn't be used indiscriminately.
Do you have that number?
I do.
And so within the traffic control manual, the Uniform Traffic Control Manual, I believe.
4.11.21.
Thank you.
I can give you a copy of everything I have here too.
Thank you, sir. said that when they did it's my understanding, now I did not speak with the county engineer's office directly regarding consideration of the actual design, the approaches, how they needed to be developed. But it was my understanding that they did use the judgment, and I think that that section that you referenced there is the definition. It talks about engineering study or engineering judgment. And I believe that, and again, I'm speaking on behalf of the county engineer's office without having any specific discussion with them to attest to this, but it was my understanding that they used their judgment based on their understanding of the general vicinity, the area that they are very familiar with. Lakota West Drive is a county road. They had just implemented the roundabout just a few years previously, and so that they believe that their judgment was very familiar with the area, and then gave an indication that there would not be a detriment to install. Certainly, if the township received anything other than that from the engineer's office, we would not have developed the plan that you all received the day before or the evening of.
Thank you. Mr. Wong, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Oh, yes. Well, first of all, it's really a no-brainer to build a crosswalk, this little crosswalk down on Eagle Ridge. But I want to thank the good citizens of Westchester tonight to come forward to exercise their democracy. But I think I lost count after 40-some people were for the sidewalk.
Plus the letters.
Yeah, plus letters. And then there was about 2 people were against it. So while the number here is clearly speaks for itself. As a trustee, I am elected by the people to make decisions. I do things what common people want, especially the residents, businesses. Now, when there's a decision that need to be made, we decided here not to abstain and then go out later on to go out to stir up for some ulterior motive to come in here to opposition and all that coming in. That's fine, but when you are elected official, I think you need to make a decision either yes or no, and not put it aside and want to do more studies for something so simple. I don't think that is a very good idea. I'm not finished yet.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Okay. And another thing, I think one resident said that challenged me to put lights on this crosswalk, flashing lights. Now, I will tell you that it takes more than one trustee to do anything here. It takes 2 votes majority, okay? Such as this crosswalk. So maybe we can want to vote on it later. We'll discuss about it. And we are doing business here. It's everything in the open, not under the table. And I think those comments, some of the comments were incorrect. Now, to Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones, you were...
Can I address the crosswalk? And then we'll
Can I finish?
Can we finish with Ms. Wong's?
I do not interrupt you when you talk.
I'm sorry, I thought we were going to a different topic. I was going to address the crosswalk.
Let's let him finish his comments, and then we'll come back to you.
So, Mr. Jones, you were elected as a fiscal officer, and that this is, I even got a legal opinion about this, that you were just elected come on board about 2 to 3 months, was it in April?
Right.
And that we have invited you into the executive session once before.
Yes.
And that the township fiscal officer, this is from the legal opinion, has no legal right to attend executive sessions. Okay? That right belongs only to the actual members of the entity. which in this case are the township trustees. Although the fiscal officer has duty to keep accurate and detailed minutes of meetings, their obligation does not extend to executive sessions, because detailed and accurate minutes are not required to be kept of those sessions. So when there's a need to know, we will invite you in there. That I have to tell you that you are not a trustee. That you cannot. I never thought I was.
Excuse me, Mr. Bruce.
And that I know that before you came on board, even you came on board, you want to change this, change that. I really suggest that please learn the job first before make all these changes. That I know that we get Pat Williams been here for many years. Since I've been here, I have never, maybe one time, a little correction of minutes. I have never seen so many incorrect minutes that was presented to me, that I corrected and handed to you, and that to this date, I still have not received a corrected copy. Even tonight, I handed you a copy. I made a copy for myself of those corrections. I requested that you please present to me before the meeting so they give me ample time to review it. Give me 1 second. That's all right.
That's all. Okay, Mr. Lane, you had some additional comments.
That's all I wanted on the crosswalk, ample time to review. That's all I wanted. You know, you say it's a no-brainer. There's very few things that we do that are a no-brainer, and you had ample time, Lee. You were working on this a month before Mr. Cho even showed up, 2 weeks before and I assume Kathy even had any data on this. So you had the information for 4 to 6 weeks. All I was asking was for ample time to review it, and you guys had to move forward, which does bring into question the whole thing of transparency. And then the April 17th minutes from Beck Ridge says Lee Wong presented a proposal from the township to install a crosswalk across Eagle Ridge from Eaglet Drive. The cost will be paid by the township. The board agreed to the plan. And that's just not fair for you to have all this information and expect me to make a decision when I have the information that you have for minutes, not even enough time to read the information. I got it literally minutes before the meeting started. I didn't even have time to read it. All I'm asking for is ample time to review like you are and transparency in government.
Well, Mr. Lin, you had ample time to review this. Mrs. Stoker had time to review it. I had time to review it. This is just a matter of you are unwilling to work with this board, okay? Because you threw a fit.
We're not going to get personal.
Okay.
Leave the facts are I got 2 minutes before the meeting started.
That is incorrect.
No, it is not. Judy, will you please tell the truth?
I received it at the same time when you sent that to me.
Judy, when did I get this?
I prepared the discussion item because of scheduling that afternoon. I handed it to all of you that evening.
Right before the meeting started. I had no time to think about it. I had no time to present to a homeowners association board. I just got it in minutes. So when you say I have ample time, that is not accurate, my friend.
And you want to do studies for this project. That will cost us more to build a sidewalk. That is totally, I think that is not a smart decision to do that.
One person at a time, or we won't be able to hear on that.
Mr. Lane, like I said, that was incorrect. You have plenty of time to review it, and that this, I think, will be a waste of money to do studies for a simple sidewalk. Bottom line is, this is just to build a simple sidewalk. Not for my personal gain. This is for the residents of Westchester to use. I've been accused of I personally benefited from this sidewalk, crosswalk. Let me tell you, this crosswalk, actually I'm living all the way at the very far end of the street. Sidewalk don't even come to my house. I have no sidewalk in front of my house. So, bottom line, like I say again, this is just building a sidewalk for the good of the residents.
And I did not ask for a study at first. You keep saying I have ample time. Ms. Boyko has admitted that I didn't get the information until minutes before. You had it weeks before, maybe months before. I didn't get it until minutes before. And I didn't ask for a study at that first meeting. All I asked was, let's just wait 2 weeks. I said, maybe this is a great idea. You can watch the tape. I'm actually on record as saying, I'll probably support this. I think it makes sense. Just give me 2 weeks. Transparency in government. That's what I'm looking for. Not backroom deals where presentations are made to a homeowners association where you're representing the township saying that this is going to get done and the township's going to pay for it without even exposing me, or I assume Kathy wasn't exposed until minutes before May 8th, to the concept. My whole issue was I said, give me 2 weeks. That's all.
I figure I'm a speed reader. I got through it faster than you did, but...
Well, you may have.
I have done nothing wrong. I'm doing it for the good of the community, for the residents. That's all.
And I've done nothing wrong either, and I did not have ample time to study it. Maybe minutes is all you need, legal, but I like to gather some input before decisions, even on simple decisions.
Okay, anything else?
Yeah, I have a few other items.
Okay. We'll pass citizen comments now, sorry. But please come back at our next meeting, or send emails. That's enough back and forth, right?
I would, the Butler County Veterans, we thank you. I took it on to raise money, and I'm glad to report I collected $650, including money from 2 gentlemen here tonight, Mark Welch and Carl Woodman. And the reason I like those two, I didn't call them. They volunteered. They stepped forward and offered to check everybody else. Friends of mine I've been calling, so I appreciate what they've done. At the last meeting, Mr. Woodman brought up fiscal officer at executive session, and I made some comments that Ms. Williams was always allowed in these executive sessions. And as far as I know, all fiscal officers in all townships are allowed in executive sessions. And Mr. Long, you made the comment that that is not true, that fiscal officers are not allowed, they do not participate regularly. And I said, give me just one. And you said Liberty Township. Because I even said, well, I know Roger Reynolds used to, but maybe the new person doesn't. And you corrected me and said, well, he's an auditor. I said, I know, but he used to be a fiscal officer. So right after we left the meeting, I called Dave Kern, who is on I think he's the president of the board, if not, I know he's on the board. He said, of course we want our fiscal officer there. We invite her to every meeting. So when you said in Liberty Township, the fiscal officers are not allowed to participate, that was not an accurate statement. So then over the last 2 weeks, I've called several other townships, and this is by no means an in-depth study, but just friends that I know in both Hamilton and Butler County, just to say, do you allow your fiscal officers to participate in the meetings? And the answer was universally yes. And one person I spoke to, who was actually a fiscal officer, said when personnel issues come up, I excuse myself. I don't want to be part of personnel issues. So when they come up in executive session, I excuse myself. But everybody else so far, and it's by no means an in-depth survey or search yet, I'm still working on it. But so far, everyone that I've talked to allows it. So I'd still, my challenge is just show me one that doesn't allow it. A horrible thing for Westchester Township. One of our best citizens, a dear beloved friend of mine, was taken way too early in life. You all know Gravel Knolls Farm and Jim Rossello, one of the oldest names in this community. And Jim passed away this week at a very young age. And what a beautiful man, what a beautiful family, what an inspiration this person was to our community. And it's a deep loss for our community, and our community will not be the same without Jim. I still remember his daddy at 90 years old riding tractors on the farm. And it's just a huge loss for us. And big loss for our community.
That's it? Okay. Did you have anything you wanted to add?
Well, Mr. Lane asked me if there's a township that do not allow fiscal officer in the meeting. You need to check with Corain Township.
Okay.
So,
actually, I think that's one of the ones I checked.
One at a time.
yeah. And also, I just say that fiscal officer has no legal right to attend an executive session. It has to be invited by the trustees. And he has been invited in there once already. So if there's a need to know, we will invite him in. Simple as that.
You mentioned one of the fiscal officers or townships you talked to mentioned that the fiscal officer excuses himself as personnel. George, you know that's at least 90% of what we discuss is personnel. Except the occasional, well, okay, lawsuits. 30, are you kidding?
Personnel, most of our lawsuits aren't.
No, there's contract negotiations with our bargaining units. That's a large amount. There's disciplinary actions on employees. There's decisions of whether or not to make new positions or to eliminate positions or to change personnel policies. That's really the bulk of what we do. And there's no reason for the fiscal officer to be there.
And also legal matters.
Legal matters, right.
Pertaining to that.
Conferences with our legal advisor, township attorney.
Yeah. Let me just clarify that, because when she said she excuses herself from personnel issues, I said, like negotiations, she said, no, only matters having to do with disciplinary actions. So.
Okay, we all done? I can put away the mud and the jelly?
There's no mud and jelly.
Oh, okay. I had just a few comments. Apropos some of the information we received from members of our community who got up and spoke, a couple of things. The township does not set speed limits on the roads. That's not a function of township authority. On minutes, I have been secretary myself on various organizations. I'm sure we all have. We're all grown-ups here. I think we can all handle this in a professional manner. The fact is the township meeting minutes must be collected, must be approved by a majority of the board. That means we must find a way for all of us to be secure in our position that the minutes that come before us are accurate. And I think we're all professionals. I think we can do that. I think it is appropriate for any of us, if we feel that maybe a point was made during a meeting and we felt it wasn't expressed as strongly, or maybe it was expressed too strongly, who knows, whatever, to bring it before the fiscal officer for consideration after everybody gets their inputs. For example, I'm sure Mr. Lang wanted to let Bruce know that his name had been misspelled, right? We put all those in effect in the pot. Mr. Jones, being a professional, can incorporate everything that he believes is accurate, because all of us are fallible. All of us can make mistakes. I made a mistake when I submitted what I believe were important changes that need to be made, and I thank Mr. Bruce for bringing that to my attention. This is a process we all go through. All of us who have been secretaries, we get input back, we revise, update to make sure that the minutes meet the needs of the township, because they have to be kept. This is the permanent record of township proceedings, and I believe we can do that. I don't believe we need to, as I'm fond of saying, get down in the mud and the blood and the beer over this. We're all grown-ups. We can handle this. We will, Mr. Bruce will send to us, Mr. Jones will send to us his interpretation. We will read his interpretation of what he believes the minutes should be. We will review the video of the meetings. We will give feedback to Mr. Jones based on if we think there's feedback necessary. Mr. Jones will make changes if he believes are necessary. But at the bottom line, we have to have a majority of trustees securing the knowledge that this does indeed, for each minute, reflect what happened during the minutes of that meeting so we can approve them so they can become part of the project. We're all professionals, we can do this. I don't see any point to having like I say, it doesn't rise to me to the level of needing open warfare. We can do this.
I would certainly agree with you, and the only two things I would like to add to that is, we can't modify the minutes to say what we meant to say. They have to be an accurate reflection of what happened.
And that's why we all review them to make sure that those don't slip in.
And actually, I had a conversation with the law director, and I'm not sure that this was just a conversation we had, so I'm not sure that this is accurate, but maybe he could look into this and clarify it. I think it's possible that we actually don't have to have written minutes, since we record our meetings. We can just, if we can't agree, just say, hey, there's the minutes on tape.
I would want to go back to the law director on that, because that just doesn't sound right to me.
No. Okay. We had that conversation.
Well, give us some feedback. Mr. Don Crane is the township's legal advisor and advises us on all these matters. We do need to have a record. Do we or don't we need a written record of
the video recording?
History of votes made, topics addressed?
As Don Crane, you do have to have an accurate record of your proceedings. It would be possible under very limited circumstances to use the video recording if you could not otherwise produce the minutes.
The minutes were
For example, if the fiscal officer were absent or ill, that would be a proper substitute under those circumstances, but otherwise it needs to be minutes and not a transcript of the proceedings. The purpose of minutes is to shorten the discussion and to accurately describe what has occurred and to make official minutes of what has taken place in the official meeting of the Township Trustees. And that's all defined by statute. But the bottom line is it needs to be accurate, and you all need to work that out amongst yourselves.
Well, thanks for the clarification. I stand corrected. I thought maybe we had an easy way out with it.
Now, a couple of issues have been addressed to me personally by Mr. Ruhlman, both at previous meetings and during this one. Basically, what have we done to support our pledge to keep our country free? I sort of got that feeling. Also, in a previous meeting, he had been concerned because of the number, whether or not I had written letters to elected officials with concerns about, I think in particular, unfunded mandates, but I also interpreted that to mean issues about which I was concerned. And so I did want to spend a little bit of time addressing what I do to help keep this community safe and what I've done with respect to letter writing. I've been working for this community for a long time. I moved to this community in 1987, and in 1990 became very active in issues involving this community. And in fact, I would say between 1990 and 2000, I was probably one of the most prolific letter writers we had in this area. I wrote about a lot of things. I wrote about an infectious medical incinerator which was being operated illegally in this township, which was dumping, if it had been operating the way they said it was, it would have been dumping literally tons of noxious material, lead, mercury, dioxins on the community. Unfortunately, but that's a long story, I won't go into it. I was very concerned, wrote about that. I did a lot of research, discovered our water system was not operating per the minimum requirements of Ohio Revised Code. Those of you who have lived here in the 1980s and early 1990s might remember times when those areas above at the higher elevations, like along Pisgah, would literally run out of water on a hot weekend. They'd turn on the tap and there'd be no water. That also means there's no water out in the fire hydrant if your house catches fire. And furthermore, what I found out, I wrote a lot of letters, nobody did a thing about it. I started doing a lot of research and found out there had been complaints to the Ohio EPA for the previous decade about this situation. Similar problem with the sewer. Those people who've lived here long enough, remember you knew when you were passing Westchester because when you're going up Highway 75, you'd smell the raw sewage. Well, I discovered that the reason you could smell the raw sewage is because our sewer plant was way overloaded. So I started writing letters about that. I started writing letters about the Skinner Superfund site, which it turns out was under a Justice Department's consent decree to be cleaned up and didn't appear to be getting cleaned up the way it was supposed to be getting cleaned up. I wrote letters about all of this, and you know what help that did? Bupkis. Nothing. I learned the hard way, if you want to get something done, you've got to actually get out and work for it. It means you have to do research. It means you have to knock on doors. It means you have to do all kinds of stuff. I was writing verified complaints that ended up getting findings and orders brought against the county commissioners that didn't do any good. So my supporters and I kept going up the ladder. We went to Ohio EPA. Didn't do any good. Went to the U.S. EPA, didn't do any good. Finally, I discovered there is an environmental enforcement branch of the FBI. When we got there, we finally got somebody who said, this is a problem. Turned around and told the state EPA, fix it. They turned around and told the county commissioners, fix it. And when our new interchange opened up, here at the Union Center Boulevard, we had finally enough water, enough sewer capacity to bring in about about $1 billion in new commercial development. Before that, we were so far over capacity that the state of Ohio was being told not to allow any more connections for anything, not residential, not commercial, anything. I worked like a dog. My supporters and I worked so hard. It's not easy because doing this meant you also had a stream of invective, of false accusations, of name-calling. To her dying day, my dear friend Joanne Camera said all the stress was what brought on her cancer that killed her. We had one gentleman, part of our group, ended up with emergency quadruple bypass surgery. 2 members of our group had to quit working with us because their blood pressure got so high the doctor said, you got to relieve the stress. These things are not easy to do, but this is what I devoted my life to doing. I helped stop a hazardous waste incinerator that the state thought they ought to build right across from Union Elementary School. We stopped the BFI infectious medical waste incinerator, which was operated so illegally. Took us 5 years, but finally one of their own employees got up, blew the whistle and said, yeah, they've been breaking all the laws that we've been claiming they were breaking, that none of our regulators wanted to hear about, and were shocked to discover that the facility manager was shocked to discover that her 40 employees had been breaking the law around the clock, and she just never noticed it. But they decided to shut it down. Personally, I think they never made a dime of profit on it because it was so badly run to begin with. They shut it down. When Mike Fox and the TID back in 1995 wanted to levy what I believe was an illegal license plate tax on us, I wrote a lot of letters about it, didn't do a bit of good. So I put together a legal team of 4 attorneys who worked pro bono and sued the TID, forcing them to stop. And to this day, every vehicle owner in Westchester is saving $20 per year per vehicle because they didn't have to pay that license plate tax. Sales tax increase in 2000. I wrote all kinds of letters to the county commissioner about how they didn't need to raise the sales tax. They did it anyway. In December of 2000, they passed 2 resolutions to increase the sales tax 0.25% each, and figured nobody would be able to get a referendum against it because it was going over the holidays. You only have 30 days to get enough signatures to put a resolution referendum on the ballot. And I was going to have to collect 8,000 to 9,000 signatures 2 times for 2 resolutions over the Christmas and New Year's holiday. I put together a small army of several dozen people, and in 2 weeks we collected 26,000 signatures to put that issue on the ballot. As soon as the commissioners saw we had enough signatures to put it on the ballot, they dropped the sales tax, saving, when I say saving tax money, I'm not talking about putting tax money from one government fund into another government fund. That sales tax saved the shoppers in Butler County over $70 million. To date, the license plate tax that you do not have to pay is saving over $1 million, close to $2 million a year to the vehicle owners in Westchester. Again, in your pocket, in your wallet. Now, you asked me if I've been sending out letters. You know what? Not so many. Because I find letters don't do all that much. Instead, I find it's hard work that gets the job accomplished. It's hard work. That's why I'm one of the founding members of the Heroes Fund. George also serves on the board with me. For the last 3 years, at least, we've raised $10,000 to $20,000 a year to provide financial benefit to our combat veterans that have financial needs. I've written letters about the Needs for Senior Center. I don't write letters about Needs for Seniors anymore. Instead, for over 10 years, I don't know how long it's been, I've been operating one day as one of the volunteer dispatchers for the senior vans so that they can ride to the doctor's office and to the grocery store. If you're a senior, if you're blind, and you live in Westchester, you have an opportunity to stay independent in your home because of all the volunteers that operate the senior van. So finally, I'd like to wrap up with a few quotes from the people a lot smarter than I am that have had a big impact on my life. For over 30 years, this one guiding principle from Galatians 6:9 has been so important to me. And basically, it's let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we don't give up. Another favorite of mine from Mark Twain, he's always good for a quote, is always do right. This will gratify some people and astonish the rest. He's also famous for saying, be good and you will be lonesome. And one of my favorite, from one of the most quotable people I think that ever lived, Winston Churchill, he said, have you got enemies? Good. That means you stood up for something sometime in your life. And
Well spoken.
That's all I have to say about that.
I'll be very, very brief. Lee, Bruce is right, Kathy does talk more than you. And the second comment that I would like to make, and actually that was very well said, by the way, I'd like to introduce Margie Condit. I saw her walk in. She's our state representative, for those of you that don't know her. Margie, thank you for coming to our meeting. That's all.
That's it. Mr. Wong, did you want to add anything?
That's all.
I would also, I've stood by.
I only want to say what is really necessary to say.
I would like to join with most of our community in grieving the loss of a wonderful, wonderful man who is lost to us much too early in life, Jim Rossolo. A wonderful family, wonderful gentleman. We wouldn't have, I think, our farmers market that we have today if it weren't for the hard work of Jim and his beautiful wife, Linda, organizing it, operating it, making sure it's there. As a matter of fact, as far as a neighborhood farmers market, it's probably the best attended in the region. And we owe a lot of that to the hard work of the Rossolos. We will miss Jim terribly. A great loss
I went to the visitation before I came to the meeting and expressed my condolence on behalf of our township.
Thank you, Lee. Any other comments? No. Mr. Wong, no. Any comments? In that case, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Also move.
I'll second.
Discussion. Mr. Jones, if you'll call the roll.
Mrs. Stoker?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mr. Wong?
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming. We appreciate your attendance. It's always great to have our constituents come down and let us know what they think.